Hello and good day to the SS1 students of Sleek Angels International School. Welcome to this online lesson or online class in English language. My name is Mrs. Cynthia Okechukwu and I'm standing in for your regular teacher. Welcome aboard. Now, this is our first online class, or this is my first online class with you in SS1. I hope we're going to have a good time together studying, and eventually, by the time you get into SS2, I will eventually take over teaching you English language. But I'm standing in for your teacher in the meantime because of the coronavirus pandemic that has kept us all at home for the past few weeks. By the way, what do you know about coronavirus? Now, one of the things you're going to be doing for me when you get into SS2 is to give me the headlines every morning. You're going to read out the headlines for me. Each person will come to school with a headline. You tell me your source, where you got it from, and read out the headline. And then eventually, by the end of that academic year, you will write a story based on one of the headlines that you have given, or a recent headline, as it were. So get used to searching for the news now before you get into SS2. So welcome. Today we have contextual meaning of words. This class is not interactive. What I mean by it's not interactive is that I don't get your questions and your feedbacks immediately. But at the end of the lesson, you'll be given a phone number and an email address where you can send in your questions, send in your comments, and when you are given an assignment, you submit to these numbers or to this number and the email address. Okay, so welcome on board. Today, our topic is contextual meaning of words. Contextual meaning of words. What do we mean by contextual meaning of words? Well, as an English student, you get to read comprehension passages a lot. So many comprehension passages you get to read, and in these comprehension passages, sometimes words are singled out. Words where you may have to replace these words singled out with synonyms or with antonyms. You replace them with either synonyms, antonyms, phrases, but the phrases will have to be either a synonym or an antonym of the words in question or of a word in question. So, and sometimes when we see these difficult words or these new words or words that sound strange to us, we do not have dictionaries around us immediately to open up and find out the meanings of words. Now, contextual meaning of words is going to teach you ways in which you can find out the meanings of some of these words even without a dictionary. That's what we're here to do today. So let's get right into the class. All right. Contextual. What does it mean? The definition of contextual is depending on the context or surrounding words, phrases, and paragraphs of the writing. Contextual means depending on the context or surrounding words, phrases, and paragraphs of a writing. So when we're talking about contextual, we're saying that it depends on the context. What is that particular place saying? What are the surrounding words around these words we're talking about that we're looking for their meanings? What are the phrases that could help us, or the paragraphs of the writing? So depending on the context or surrounding words, phrases, and paragraphs of the writing. Now, this means that a word can mean different things depending on the context in which this word is used. That's what we are saying, that words can mean different things depending on the context in which these words are used. So, when you see a word in a passage, you have to think about the context in which the word is being used. If you think about the context actually means, what is it talking about? In this environment of words, what does this word mean? What does this word signify? Okay, so the word can mean different things. It can be the same word, but because of the context in which it was used, or in which these words are being used, the word can mean different things in different contexts. Okay, it can mean something different in one context, and then when you see the word in another passage, it means a different thing, but it's the same word. So a word could mean different things in different contexts depending on how this word is used, like I said earlier on. So the context depends on the other words or phrases around the word in question. Okay, all I have said now they all mean the same thing. All these things I have said, contextual, context, and all that, they all mean the same thing. Okay, words can mean different things depending on the context in which they are used. And you will understand the context. Somebody will say, how do I understand the context? How will I know? Well, you will know because when you are reading a story or you're reading a passage, you will follow the passage in your thought process. And in following that passage, you will understand the line, or, yes, the angle that the passage is going towards. And if you understand this, it will help you to understand the meanings of certain words in that context. So what I am saying is that we can have a word meaning several things in different contexts. That's what we're just trying to say. Look at this example here. It says, we're looking at the word read and how read can have different meanings depending upon what words are around it in a sentence, which means what the context is. Read can mean different things depending on the context in which it is used, depending on the words around it in a sentence. Look at this example. I like to read the newspaper over a cup of coffee every morning. I like to read the newspaper over a cup of coffee every morning. Now, read in this particular sentence is a verb and it means to look at and interpret letters or other information that is written. To look at, to interpret letters or other information that is written. So when you are reading the newspaper, you are actually looking at it and interpreting the letters or other information that is reading. You're trying to understand the words in the newspaper while you are reading, while you're going through the newspaper. So read here, synonyms of read here could be to study the newspaper, to scan, to examine. If you replace these synonyms If you replace read with these synonyms, they actually mean the same thing. It doesn't take you away from the meaning of the word read in this particular sentence. So look at the context. The context is, I like to read the newspaper over a cup of coffee every morning. Now, this context helps you to understand what role read is playing in this particular sentence, or the meaning of read in this sentence. And read here means it could be to study, to scan, to examine. Okay, moving on. Anna stood before the group to nervously read her poem, not knowing that Ryan, the scoundrel, would use her words against her. Now, read here means something different from what we saw in the earlier sentence. Here, read is also a verb and it means to read or say aloud something that is written. Now, the first read did not connote or had nothing to do with reading aloud, but this read here, in this context, talks about reading something aloud. So can you see how read means different things in the context in which they have been used, these two contexts? Okay, so like I said earlier on, read here means to read or say something aloud that is written. Now, in the first one, when he was reading his newspaper, he didn't have to read it aloud. But here, read here means something being read aloud. Okay, and the synonyms of read here could be to recite, to say, to narrate, to deliver. Now, if you use these synonyms or any of these synonyms for this read here, to replace the synonym, to replace the read in the first sentence, then you will see that that read would mean something totally different from what we understand it to be. The synonyms here are recite, say, narrate. Okay, if we go back and say, I like to recite the newspaper or say the newspaper over a cup of coffee every morning, then you see that it means something entirely different. Do you get it now? So, when we are talking about words in context, we have to look at the context. Maybe a simpler way of saying context is we have to look at the way in which the word is used in the sentence. And when we look at it, we'll be able to understand what the word means. So read here has nothing to do with narration or reading aloud or saying something. Read here is more of a silent read. Read in this particular example, I like to read the newspaper, is more of a silent reading, a mind reading in the mind than in reading aloud. Unlike the next one that says to nervously read her poem. Now, this read now has to do with reading aloud. So can you see the different contexts? Okay, look at another example. My pet dog instinctively knows how to read my facial expressions. My pet dog instinctively knows how to read my facial expressions. Okay, read here is also a verb and it means to understand or interpret the nature, meaning, or significance of something. Now, this is read again, but being used in another context. And the synonyms here could be interpret, understand, discern, decipher. Okay, and this read means something totally different from the first and the second examples we have seen. Read here has to do with, you know, perception, something that is perceived. Okay, you are interpreting somebody's facial expression or trying to understand somebody's facial expression or to discern how the person is feeling or to decipher. These are all synonyms we can use for the word read here. So can you see the three different contexts in which we have used just the same word read, and read means something different in these three examples. So context is very, very important. Now, in this third example, there is no way that the synonym of read here could be to recite. My pet dog instinctively knows how to recite my facial expressions. No, 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 not at all. Okay, so This is another context. Now, look at the fourth example. It is well worth a read as many of the issues covered will be relevant to your situation. It is well worth a read as many of the issues covered will be relevant to your situation. Now, read here is not a verb. Read here is used as a noun. And in this sentence, it means a period or act of reading something. A period or act of reading something. It is well worth a read. A period or act of reading something. And synonyms for this read could be perusal, read through, study, look at. So we have looked at 4 different contexts in which one word was used, and this word meant 4 different things in these 4 different contexts. That is what we're talking about when we are talking about the contextual meanings of words. Okay. How do we use context to determine the meaning of words? How do we use context to determine the meaning of words? Now let's read. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you were either talking to someone or reading a passage, then a strange word pops up? Okay, you're having a conversation with someone and the person suddenly says a word you don't understand. Or you're reading something and then a strange word just comes in and it's a word you do not understand. You've never seen the word, or even if you've seen it, but you do not know the meaning of the word. Generally, you could understand what was being said in the conversation or what you were reading, but within you, there was a need to find out the meaning of this word. Okay. Probably you could understand what the word meant because of the context in which it was used. In your mind, you would probably think, oh, maybe this word means this, or maybe it means that. Okay, but then you just have this urge and this need to understand what this word means on your own, probably when a dictionary is not available, but you just want to know the meaning of the word. Well, it happens to the best of us. And there are many ways to do this. It's all about determining the meaning of the word by using context clues. Now, a strange word pops up in a conversation. You're having a conversation with someone and the person says something you've never heard before, or you are reading something and you see a word you've never seen before, or you don't understand the meaning, and there's no dictionary around you, to go through to know the meaning of this word. But you might be able to get what the word means in your mind based on the context in which this word, is being used or was used. But then there's a way. English language is telling us that there's a way you can get the meaning of this word, and that is by using what we call context clues. What are context clues? We'll get to that shortly. So I told you earlier on that context refers to the other words and sentences around the word in question. Okay, that's the context in which your word was used. Context means, okay, these are the words. How do these words in this environment of the word in question, how will they help me to understand the word that is strange to me? That's context. And then context clues are hints. There are some hints sometimes put in these words and in the sentences around this word that you are talking about. And these hints could be found in the sentence, in a paragraph or a passage that a reader can use to understand the meanings of a new or difficult word in context. So, context clue says that sometimes when you meet a difficult word or you meet a new word, okay, that you should look around the words in context, the words or the sentences before or after the word you are inquiring about. Okay, if you look around, you might find some clues to helping you understand what the meaning of this particular word is. That is what context clues are. And there are at least 4 kinds of context clues that are quite common. Well, some people say that there are 5 context clues. Some people even merge them together. But then these are the 4 that I think will be able to help you for now to understand context clues. Now, somebody will ask me, Mrs. Okechukwu, do you think context clues are really important? Yes, they are. Now, in your final examinations, the WAEC, that's the SSCE exam, your NECO, for those of you who would want to travel out of the country, to study and further SATs, your IGCSE and the rest of them, you will not escape, or you cannot escape, reading through comprehension questions and answering questions on them. Comprehension questions are like stable, they are always there in any English exam. And in these comprehension passages, you will be required sometimes, most of the time actually, to replace words with either synonyms, antonyms, or give meanings to words. So you cannot escape it. Somebody says, Mrs. Okechukwu, context clues. No, they are very easy. And if you follow the guidelines I am about to give to you, you will find out that it will help you to understand words better when you find yourself in such a situation. Now, like I said, there are 4 kinds of context clues that are quite common. The first one is what we call definitions or explanation context clues. Clues or clue. Definitions or explanation context clue. Now, the first thing is to look and see if the definition of the word is right there in the sentence or in the sentence immediately after. This can also be a restating of the word. So sometimes when a word is given, if you look very, very closely, you will find out that that word has actually been defined for you, okay, in the way it has been used, or it's been used in the sentence, or in the sentence close to the sentence where this word is found. So like I said, look and see if the definition of the word is right there in the sentence or in the sentence immediately after. So we call this a restating of the word. Now look at these examples. While planning the party, Susan was prudent with the guest list, acting with great caution and care not to invite anyone with whom she wouldn't want to jump around in a bounce house. Let's read it again. While planning the party, Susan was prudent with the guest list, acting with great caution and care not to invite anyone with whom she wouldn't want to jump around in a bounce house, or what we call a bouncing castle. Okay, now the word here is prudent. What does prudent mean? The definition of prudent is right here in this sentence. Prudent with what is she being prudent with? The guest list, is it not? Okay. Acting with caution, great caution and care not to invite anyone with whom she wouldn't blah 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 blah. So prudent actually means acting with great caution and care. Do you see it? And so many times we see words like this, but because we do not know anything about context clues, we don't look at it a little bit more to see if we can actually find the meaning of the word. And the meaning of prudence has been written here for you. Acting with great caution and care. That is what it means to be prudent. Look at the second example. On Friday, we visited the Arboretum, a garden dedicated to the exhibition of trees and plants. That's your definition of an arboretum. A garden dedicated to the exhibition of trees and plants. That's it. And somebody says, what is an arboretum? Oh, it's a garden dedicated. Oh, I don't know. But right there, the sentence, or the word rather, has been defined for you. A garden dedicated to the exhibition of trees and plants. So sometimes these words are actually defined for us. They are defined or explained, but we are not careful enough to look and see if the meanings are there, or observe the meanings. Now, other times you will see examples that help explain the word in question. This is very similar to finding the definition. Okay, that is why it's called definitions or explanation context clues. So you see, sometimes you'll see the examples that help explain the word in question. This is very similar to finding the definition. Look at this sentence. Devin procrastinated to avoid his homework all day, watching TV, playing video games, and even writing thank you cards to his grandparents. He procrastinated. How did he procrastinate? By watching TV, playing video games, okay, and even writing thank you cards. Now, when somebody does this instead of doing his homework, what does it tell you? That he's pushing his homework, or pushing the doing of his homework, away, pushing it to do it another time, pushing it away to do it at another time, maybe the next day or 2 days after. That helps you to understand that procrastination means, okay, pushing something away, or something that one needs to do, okay, pushing the doing of that thing to a later time. Okay, so this helps to explain the word procrastination. All right. Another context clue is the synonym or repeat context clue. The second one, the synonym or repeat context clue. Now, the most basic and perhaps helpful type of context clues are synonyms. And we see this one often in comprehension tests or passages. This is the use of more than one word that means the same thing in a sentence or a following sentence. Now, the context clue, when it comes to synonym context clue, a word is used with its synonym in a sentence. That's what they are trying to tell you. Okay, a word is used with its synonym or synonyms in a sentence, and you are required maybe to find out the synonyms. Meanwhile, the answers have been given to you. For example, there may be a complex word followed by a restatement using a simpler word, but it's a synonym to the complex word. Look at this. His animosity or hatred of his sister divided the family. Animosity is complex, and the simpler meaning of animosity is hatred. Simple. Okay. Bill felt remorse or shame for his harsh words. Shame means the same thing as remorse. Okay. This situation is a conundrum, a puzzle that's difficult to solve. Puzzle is what conundrum means, an easier explanation. Okay, the situation is a puzzle that's difficult to solve. She hums continuously or all the time, and it annoys me. All the time is a phrase which is used to replace the word continuously. So when you see sentences like this, they are called synonym or repeat context clue. The clue is there, okay? And somebody asks, what's the meaning of animosity? It's hatred. Replace remorse with another word, shame. Or if you know a simpler word, because sometimes these context clues will actually open your mind up to other words that are equally, because if I don't know the meaning of animosity, but I know what hatred means, okay, yes, I can look for a simpler word that can replace hatred. And if it means the same thing as hatred in this particular context, it could serve for animosity. Okay, then the third one, antonym or contrast context clue. Now, this is like an opposite of the synonym or repeat context clue. Antonym or contrast context clue. Now, the text may include a word or words that have the opposite meaning, unlike the synonym where it has the same meaning, okay, which can reveal the meaning of an unknown term. Examples: Stella has always dressed flamboyantly. I've never seen her wear a dull color. Okay, so dull color replaces flamboyantly. Okay, so bright colors, flamboyant could be very bright, very catchy, eye-catching colors and all that. So, or dresses brightly, okay, with a lot of accessories and all that. So, a dull color helps you to know what flamboyant means. She was virtuous, unlike her evil and conniving brother. So, virtuous. The antonym of virtuous, evil, and conniving. All right. Marty is gregarious, while unlike his brother, who is quiet and shy. Marty is gregarious, unlike his brother, who is quiet and shy. So, gregarious tells you that someone who is gregarious is certainly not quiet and shy. He's not quiet, he's probably a talkative, he's probably noisy, he's everywhere, he's not shy. That's what it means. And then this feral cat would not let us pet him, unlike our friendly cat. So, which means the word feral possibly means unfriendly. You see, these are the clues. But because we do not know these things, we find them difficult to we find it difficult when we read words, and sometimes we just see the answers there and we just read right through them and go on and fix the wrong words. Now, the fourth context clue is what we call example context clue. The test provides one or more examples used to define the term. This is somehow like the first one, definition or explanation. They are somehow related. The children were able to observe several crustaceans, including crabs, lobsters, and shrimp. So it makes you know that crustaceans are crabs, lobsters, and shrimps. Okay, it explains an example, helps you to know, the category of these crustaceans. What kinds of animals are they? Okay, they are crabs, they are lobsters, they are shrimps. Probably, I don't know if oysters, falls in this category, but you should understand. He says his duplicity involved lowering his employees' salaries, increasing their stock options, and then stealing the money he saved by doing so. So you see, duplicity means, something bad. When someone is being duplicitous, it means that the person is doing something wrong. And that means he involved lowering his employees' salaries, increasing their stock options, and then stealing the money he saved by doing so. So duplicity has nothing to do with something good. It's actually something very, very bad. When you're stealing or you're doing something that is not right, you're being duplicitous. Then I was aghast by her duplicity when she stole my diamond earrings, sold them on eBay, and lied to me about it the whole time. So you can see, being duplicitous, it has nothing to do with something being good. The first example shows us how he lowered his employees' salaries, increased their stock options, and stole the money. Here again, we're seeing that duplicity means stealing, okay, and even doing so many things that are not good at all. Okay, so we've come to the end of the lesson. Okay, just a quick recap. When we are looking for words in contexts, okay, we're looking for words in their various meanings in a particular way that the word was used or is being used in a passage. And then sometimes these words could mean different things depending on the context in which these words were used. And sometimes these words come with context clues that could help us to find out the meanings of those words, even when the dictionary is not immediately available. We've looked at the 4 context clues here: definitions or explanation context clue, synonym or repeat context clue, antonym or contrast context clue, and then of course example context clue. All right, so that's the end of the lesson. I'm going to do another lesson shortly for you where we are going to do some exercises on context clues. Basically just exercises on context clues, and then I'll give you an assignment. But before that video comes on, I want you to take your time and go through these slides. They are there with you in the house. Take your time, listen to it again, go through it, possibly look through, okay, some of the books you have, and find out if you can find, and see if you can find some sentences that are similar to these context clues I have given to you. Okay, I think I'll give you that as an assignment, sorry. Yes, that's your assignment. I want you to look for 5 sentences, okay? Let's see how far you can go with this. Okay, so this is just a trial, but I would love it if you actually respond. Now, look for 5 sentences. Check through your books, your textbooks, your English textbooks, or any other book at all. Look for 5 sentences, okay, that have any of these context clue types we have spoken about. It could be a sentence that is an example context clue, a sentence that is an antonym that has an antonym context clue, or a synonym context clue, or a sentence with a definition context clue. Let's see if you can do that. Okay, so write 5 sentences for me and you tell me the type of context clue in each of the sentences. Okay, so write 5 of these context clue sentences for me and send it to my WhatsApp number, which I'm going to call out for you now. Okay, are you ready with your pen? My WhatsApp number 08089890203. I repeat 08089890203. Now please, if you are using an exercise book to write and you're going to take a picture, make sure that it is very clear. Make sure that the camera you're using is very, very clear. Otherwise, please just type it straight on, on the WhatsApp platform. I don't want to give you my email address because so many people have called to say that they have problems with email. So let's make it easier, okay? WhatsApp is accessible to everybody. So please, if you are writing in an exercise book, which I do not prefer, but some of you say it's a better option. So if you're writing in your notebook to take a picture to send, please make sure that it is very, very clear. Very, very clear. Make sure your camera is clear so that I can see it clearly and then give you your marks immediately. Also, I have called on some of your parents to ask or to let them know about this platform, the WhatsApp platform, the online classes. Please spread the word to your classmates. Let them know that the school is running online classes for them now. Call your friends when you chat with them or you send messages to them. Let them know that this is on. Okay, so write these 5 sentences. Please get back to me before the week runs out so that we can treat some examples of context clues, more examples of context clues, and then I'll give you another assignment. Till I come your way again, have a lovely, lovely day.